Hello everyone, MikeMoneyGMR here, and I'm starting something new. Quest 64, yes. Now if you've never heard of this game, don't be surprised. This is one of those games that a lot of people actually don't even know about nowadays. Now if you don't hit anything at the start, it does this little thing. Setland, an island where magical spirits abound. This is the abode of magicians who have become powerful through a pact of the spirits. These are apprentices of the Melroad Monastery, among them the young apprentice Brian. Shire. This is the kingdom of northern magic, home of the Melroad Monastery. This kingdom is ruled by King Startwood. Something of the people. Sorry. I'm trying to read it as quickly as I can. Carmag, the kingdom of merchants, is situated in the center region of Helm, the richest and most beautiful of all the kingdoms. Highland, the kingdom of the sword, located at the southern edge of the isle, is the kingdom of fire and steel, ruled by the ambitious and warlike King Belgus. Now these names would be important. Thanks to a treaty among the three kingdoms, people live in peace and prosperity. But they're actually not as important as they were expected to be. One night, however, the monastery fell under an evil spell with the theft of an ancient book. Because of the theft, Setland now faces dangers it has never before known. There you go. So you might be asking yourself, let me show you something real quick. Let me make sure. Okay, yeah. Number 082 23 days. So yeah, that should be my playthrough. So I have a confession about this game and something that could make this a very interesting Let's Play. The memory card I'm using is technically on death's door. Like, I tried replacing the battery and all that because it really does need the battery replaced, I'm not gonna lie. Because, like, see, it's one of those special ones that had the multiple page pack, and it also had a display to show what page you were on. However, that went out recently, and ever since then I have no idea what page I'm on. And the problem is, if you switch pages while you're playing this game, you'll corrupt your save data. So it's a really strange thing, and so you don't want to accidentally do that. But this is the only memory card I have that really works right now and actually has room. So for me to play this game, I have to actually use that one. And this one only has 2 save games, as you can see, so yeah. Are you sure you want to exit menu? Yes. So we're going to do a new game. Now, this is interesting, but here, let me show you what happens when we hit new. Brian, even though I begged you not to leave, you still say you must go after your father. This is the Grand Abbot. No matter how wonderful your powers may be, you are still a child. Your father, Lord Bartholomew, left to search for the stolen Eltail book and has been missing for a month. No wonder you are worried about him. Contained in the words of the book is a power that exceeds human knowledge. I wonder who could have possibly stolen it from the crypt of the monastery. If an evil person should use it, the country and all of its cities will be destroyed. The spirit's blessings will disappear, and Setland will once again be visited by a day of grief. Bartholomew's disappearance may mean he is caught in the fighting over the book. Now you might have noticed that line does seem kind of strange, right? Bartholomew's disappearance may mean he is caught in the fighting over the book. Now before you smack down this game for having bad grammar and bad everything so far, and not even like a real beginning cutscene, I want you to, well, like, basically take this into consideration. This game was rushed. Now, a lot of people don't know this about this game, but this game barely met its deadline, and it wasn't even completely finished when it met its deadline. They just had to release it as is. And you may think that that makes for a horrible game, but no. For what they got done, the game is pretty good. But yeah, there is some things in it that you will notice by that. If you go, you may find yourself in danger as well. If you still insist, begin by going to Dondoran. I'll ask the king of the Dondoran castle to protect you. If you talk to him again, he's like, when you leave the monastery, it's best to head toward Dondoran from Mill Road. I'll ask the king of Dondoran castle to give you protection. Just stop at the monastery to pay respects. They've been worried about you. You must not be stopped during your quest. Everyone will be waiting for you to return. So you might ask yourself, okay, so from this basic thing, there's not really much story. Sadly, yes. The whole story of this game was made in that beginning title, and not many people pause long enough to actually have it load. I didn't pause long enough to have it load, so I never even knew that was there until I read a walkthrough of this game. This game, another thing about it is, I would say as far as RPGs go, like role-playing games and all that, role-playing adventure games, is not really meant for, like, it really was supposed to, it looked like it was meant to be aimed towards kids, but if you really, like, look at how complicated the game is now, since they kind of got screwed out of it, you know, in my opinion, it makes it where it takes a, like, really focused mind to play. So anyway, here are your button button commands for this. A makes you do kind of like an explorer option. B does nothing. Z does the same thing as A. Start pulls up your menu, and as you see, you have HP, MP, defense, and agility. Now, how this game does its upgradings, like level ups and all that, is you see the experience points for each and everything, right? The experience of HP is determined by how much damage you take. Yeah. The experience of MP is how many spells you use. The defense, now this is another interesting one. The defensive stat is also determined by how many times you get hit by attacks. So you notice right away that both HP and defense are governed by getting the crap kicked out of you in fights. That's not very good, is it? Now, everybody has a hard time with this one, agility. The consensus is, like, the group ideals is that it's from running around the map and avoiding enemy attacks. So it's basically your dexterity status, really. But a lot of people disprove that many times, and so nobody knows how it goes up. It just kind of goes up on its own sometimes. Your other one is your message speed, and I think that's supposed to be background music or something. I don't know. And then you have your map. Now, this game is sadly a type of game where you, it's like basically a grind fest, I'll just tell you. The good close competitor to this game in terms of how much you have to grind for levels is the original, like, Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest, whatever it was. I think it was Dragon Warrior, because you had to, like, grind in the first area for, like, days almost to, like, really be able to move on, right? That's kind of how this game works. But don't worry, a lot of the fights I will be doing off screen, because you do not want to have to sit through all the fights. But you might be wondering, this element table that we're looking at, well, I'll explain that real quick. You have fire, wind, water, and earth. Now each one contributes to a different set of spells, of course. Fire is, of course, your basic fire magic. Believe it or not, your status buffing spell, attack up. And what was the other one? I didn't get very far, so I'm not entirely sure what else it has. I think it also has another one on it that's status debuffing too, but it's not very good. Wind is, of course, your wind attacks, and it also has to do with defense, I believe. Yeah, it has to do with defense and speed, I believe. Oh no, earth is with defense, wind is with speed, agility. Water is your water attacks, but they're not very good in the beginning, to say the least, so the only thing they're really good for is giving you healing magic eventually. But you may notice that each one has a level 50 gauge that it can go up to. You will never get all 4 to that level. And what does that mean? That means you have to choose, like the most that you can get is 3. And so you want to choose which one that you're not going to use and focus on the other ones. Now a lot of people say to stick with wind, water, and earth because that makes for the game a lot easier. But the problem is that you miss out on fire, which gives you some really decent attacks as well. So it's up to you if you want to do that. Now if you hit down at any point, you'll pull up your magic gauge for water. If you hit right, it doesn't do anything right now because there's no other spells that have to go with this. Now every time you level up your water-based spell, you can get another spell as long as you keep upgrading it. Same goes for this. That's wind, that's fire, and that's earth. Now, I know we haven't accomplished much, don't worry. I wanted to explain all of this before I started because this game can be kind of difficult to explain. So, I want to kind of go over the story of this game. I have never beaten this game. I've never even come close. And there is good reason for that. This game is known as one of the more difficult RPGs that came out during the time of the N64. And the problem with that, as you get close to a hidden spirit, you will see a sign. When you see it, press the Z button, or the A button. The mark of 4 spirits will appear. Press one of the C buttons to choose which of the spirits you wish to increase. You will need as much help from each of the spirits as you can get. Use the C button like this. And I already told you that, so I'm not going to read that out loud. Memorize these positions. And don't worry, if you forget, it does help you. But yeah, this game, when I played it as a kid, I did not understand how this game worked. And in that sense, I also did not understand this room for the longest time. This room is interesting. If you look around this room long enough, you'll notice that there's this middle area that's gated off, and there's nothing in it. Some say that there was probably bound to be something in this at some point, but they never got around to finishing it, which is interesting, so they just kind of gated it off and was like, oh, what the hell. But this is your exit here. Most people have gotten stuck in that room before and was like, what am I supposed to do in this room? So don't be surprised if you get stuck in there too. Now the most important thing to do in this game is to explore everything. Something I did not do the first time I played this game. Brian, the wooden scepter you carry and the magic spells you acquire throughout your journey are your only means of defending yourself against encounters with the enemy. Yes. one thing that you will notice is that he always carries this stick around, basically. Sorry. If you go near a door at all, he automatically opens it. Forgot to tell you that. They actually recommend during fights that you rush up and beat the crap out of every enemy because you start out actually able to hit people harder than your spells, surprisingly. I mean, it also starts putting up your health, so it's not a bad idea. I know one of these rooms has something important, and that's why I'm exploring them all. But I can't remember which one it is because it's been so long since I played this. Anyway, let's check our stats. Okay, so yeah, from running around, we got 10% agility. Like I said, that's what people were talking about. They're like, if you run around long enough, you will get agility. It's weird. But it also goes up a little bit faster according to theory if you dodge attacks in battle, which is kind of difficult. I'll just tell you ahead of time. There's really no camera button that I know of. Oh yeah, it's the B button actually. Now they got the B button centers the camera behind you. But yeah, anyway. If you talk to this guy, you get some interesting. Leave now, Brian. In his last letter, Lord Bartholomew said he crossed Loch Kildare on the way to Lowerpool. Be very cautious. Evil creatures lying way beyond these monastery walls. So before you leave, actually, you might want to explore a little bit. And yes, if you notice any issues with the game, that's not my recording, that's the game itself, regrettably. But like, there's some pretty awesome stuff that you can just explore. I remember I got stuck in this monastery one time because I was just enjoying myself looking around and exploring. And that's probably, depending on if I continue going for like 30 minutes or so, like all you're gonna see in this episode, I don't know. Inside here is a honey bread. Whatever you do, don't use it. You will waste it if you use it. Welcome to the kitchen, laddie. Your quest is sure to be a long one. Please take this fresh bread. I made this myself. That's what you want to use instead. Fresh bread gives you 50 health, so it'll always fully heal you at the beginning of the game. And I remember one thing I used to love to do is you can actually come up here and run up this thing and just stand here. And I used to pretend like I was like giving speeches to everyone inside this eating hall. As I used to think that it must be because she has bread, you know. Now, in case you're wondering, no, there are no stores in this game whatsoever, and there's no currency. Yeah, another interesting thing about this game. There's no currency, there's no shops, there is only whatever you have on you and what you get for free from the certain villagers and stuff. Now, most of the area is free range where you can go practically wherever you want, but there are certain areas where you won't be able to go. You can talk to this horse, surprisingly. Yay! But here's your first spirit friend here. And for starters, I believe I'm going to choose wind because that is a good idea, is to start putting up wind kind of early on. And I think what you want to do is you want to try to get it to level 5, and then you want to start concentrating on water, and then you want to start concentrating on earth. Now, you only have one speed of running throughout the entire game that I've noticed so far, and this is it. Now, anyway, to kind of go over what I was talking about in the beginning, the names that you heard on the beginning screen, they would have actually been support characters at some point in the game. Now they're just there to help you along on your quest in a different way. Like, for example, this status screen was actually supposed to have another screen that showed party members. It doesn't exist anymore. They took it out. It was one of the many things that they were forced to remove from the game because they didn't have time to perfect it for the N64. Now, what's funny is if you play the game, what is it called? Basically, like the game creator game, something type, I don't remember. Halt, who goes there? Oh, it's you, laddie. Ever since your father went away, we've had to stand guard against the monsters that are surrounding our town. Lord Bartholomew was the spirit tamer. We will not be safe until his return. But yeah, anyway. In that game, if you try to make RPGs for the N64, they will always get a bad score. And I think that's a reference to this. Because, you know, I think this kind of left a bad taste in like the game developers at that time's mouth of RPGs, because they were like, oh, it's so difficult, it doesn't seem to work very well. And yet a lot of people who stand by this game are like, it does just fine, what are they talking about, you know? I think there's another spirit thing up here somewhere. That's why I'm coming up here, if I remember right. Yep, there it is. Just hiding at the wall. Now, there's only so many level ups that you can get, and you get level ups by fighting. And how that works is it's based on that circle in the middle. It'll start to fill up every time you have a fight, and that's how you determine when you're about to get another level up from that. Yep, there's a treasure chest in here. Fresh bread, so you get an extra fresh bread. Now here's something you need to know. If at any time you have fresh bread in your inventory, you can't get another one unless it's from a chest. Yeah. The people who give them to you for free will not fill up your entire inventory of fresh bread. So that's another issue that people have with this game, is people were like, well, why can't I just get multiple fresh breads until my inventory's full? Brian, when fighting, you have two octangular areas surrounding you. The large octangle, whatever, represents the entire fighting arena. The small octagon represents your personal area of movement. Use your area of movement to avoid enemy attacks. If you move outside the large octagon, you will have the option to escape the fight. That's stupid. There's no reason to ever escape a fight. Well, I guess unless you're bored out of your mind, then maybe you can. I think there's supposed to be one more spirit thing somewhere around here, if I remember right. I don't know for sure if I'm thinking of something else. Lately I've heard that monsters have been seen along the roads. They even say a thief is hiding in the woods. With your father gone, there's no one to tame the evil spirits. We pray Lord Bartholomew can find his way back and save us. Oh yeah, sure, he'll totally find his way back. And I do like how they gave these women animation while they talk. That's a pretty interesting thing. He probably used to visit us often. He brought prosperity to all of us in Meld Road. Now, I want to show you my favorite characters in the game. They're over in a field somewhere, and I gotta find... Haha, here they are. That's them over there. These are my favorite characters in the game because they're kids and they all have sticks, right? You talk to them and they're like, I'm a pirate. Those monsters out there don't scare me. I want to be a spirit tamer just like you when I grow up. Brian, sometimes you will need to use the B button to adjust your view. Yeah. Who's afraid of the big bad werehair? you should be and kick your ass. Yes, the werehair is an enemy that you do want to watch out for when you get out there. It's kind of a dick. Thought I remembered there being a spirit thing like in between them, but I guess not. Ah, here's the inn. This is where you save your game, and you find this person. Hello, Master Apprentice. I'm Shannon. I have been traveling hither and yon all over Clatland. See, you're setting out on a quest too. I trust we'll run into each other along the way. Now, Shannon here will always appear in any inn that you're in, and basically, she's here to help guide you on your mission. Being super professional, getting a drink of water. Yes, I'm actually drinking water now. I forgot to mention at the start of the episode, I'm actually cutting back on soda again. I know I've said this before, but for real this time I'm actually cutting back on soda. So yeah, this character right here. Don't you feel tired, Master Apprentice? Please rest here for the night. We'll take good care of you. Will you stay? Now, here's what's interesting. Depending on what time of day you stay, it might be night when you leave, but if you say yes, you can save the game. And that's how your save works. There you go. And then, like, every time you exit after saving, it'll say that. Don't worry, it's okay. Now, damn it, if you go up these stairs, I think you can find another character in one of these rooms. And they're a very interesting character. If I remember right. I don't think they give you anything, but they will say something. There are many spirits in Clatland's fields and valleys, probably around the towns too. Only a true spirit tamer knows when the spirits are near. I know that there's like one between the beds in the house somewhere. I don't remember where exactly, but I do remember that. I only know where like a few of them are offhand. I will try to show them all off though if I can. Now you may have noticed, we're 27 minutes in and haven't really done a whole lot. Get used to that. This game, you really shouldn't be going out at night, you get lost really easily. But no, this game really hits it home that you don't have a whole lot to do in this. Ready to travel, are you? Fine. We'll give you some white wings. They'll bring you back to Mill Road anytime. It is important that you understand that wings will only work in wide open spaces. Take care. Now here's what I was talking about. If you talk to him again, say, here's a travel with white wings. If you need another pair, return here. See, that's what they say. You can't just collect an abundance of white wings as well. I think they were gonna make it where you could buy multiple ones, but like I said, it ended up hitting a roadblock and they had to cancel that plan. And that's how you know you've gone the right way. Let's get into one fight before we end the episode. Here we go. Hellhounds. Chances are these bastards will always hit you, so don't be surprised. In case you're wondering, your spells do not always miss. Just that one in particular does like to miss. Oops. Do not wildly hit the A button. You will forfeit your turn. Now, after a battle, your health will not go up. Your magic, however, will. The only way to recover health is going back to town. No, that won't work up close. There you go. That's your water attack. As you can tell, it works really well against these guys because they're fire-based. However, it puts you at risk of getting your ass kicked because it's a close proximity attack. There we go. Anyway, let's head back to town before we die. Now, before you ask, no, there is no punishment for dying. There's not. You won't lose any items you have. You won't lose any experience you have. They forgot to put that in. Instead, a lot of people who have supposedly quote unquote sped run this game claim that the best way to win this game is to constantly get your ass killed so that you get a whole bunch of defense stat. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. When we come back, we will see what else we can accomplish in this game. Till then, everyone, bye.